Hi everybody, welcome back. Thanks for joining me for another festive royal video. I hope you are all keeping nice and sane. I went into town today to go get my Christmas nails done. We've gone for candy canes to match the earrings. Went into the nail shop with all of this calm loveliness and then came out and it was just pure chaos. There is a week to go and already people are going nuts. And I know why. It's because everybody goes, I'm going to be really sensible. I'm going to go into town really early this morning before it gets busy so I can get everything done, get in, get out. But the problem is everybody else tries to do the exact same thing. So let's get on to the royal news. Let's start at the very top. The man himself, His Majesty the King. On the 13th of December, the King was welcoming guests to Highgrove Gardens for the annual Crafts and Christmas Fair, and he looked to be in great spirits. The event celebrates traditional and heritage craft skills that are at risk of being lost. Both Highgrove and Dumfries House in Scotland run workshops throughout the year to learn anything from candle making, willow weaving, stone masonry, wood carving. You can even learn to make bees out of copper and stained glass. After the King had spent lots of time outside chatting to the various craft stall owners, guests and students, and of course listening to some festive carols by the choir that was there, His Majesty then went inside Highgrove to meet with instructors, students and alumni from various courses including the Chanel Métier d'Art Millinery programme. One student, Emily Rose Saunders, said it was very exciting to see the King's passion for crafts. Indeed, the King did seem very taken with all of the hats, perhaps picking out a Christmas present for Queen Camilla. It's clear that everyone was excited to meet the King and the sentiment was clearly returned. The King has always had a love of arts and crafts and has strived hard to ensure that as many people as possible, regardless of age, background, ability, can access a variety of courses and programmes. The King's Foundation supports more than 15,000 students every year and helps them access a wide range of educational programmes and courses. Some, of course, are fun, one-day courses like the ones I read out earlier, and some of them are more practical and more long-term. Now, speaking of fun, the Duchess that everybody loves, Super Sophie, well, she got herself involved with some Christmas arts and crafts. When on the 12th of December, she visited the Disability Initiative Resource Centre in Camberley, of which she has been patron of since 2003. The charity specialises in providing care, activities and rehabilitation to adults with physical disabilities and also to those that have suffered brain injuries. As always, Sophie loves to get involved with all of the activities that she can. She helped make some mince pies. She took part with some Christmas carol songs and also a music lesson where she had the very, very important position of playing the triangle. And then she also got involved with a painting session. She's actually a really talented painter. I think this painting of a Christmas tree is so beautiful. I would honestly buy that as a Christmas card. Who knows, perhaps that's something Sophie can do next year or something where she can paint a couple of little paintings to then create into Christmas cards. It can raise money for charity. I know that I would certainly buy them. The Duchess always gets really involved with all of the people that she meets and it was so sweet. There was a really lovely moment when Sophie was presented a plaque by one of her fellow artistes that called her a fab patron. Having been their patron now for over 30 years, it's not hard to see why that they love her. Now from a fabulous Duchess to a frantic Duchess who is desperately trying to distance herself and her husband from their latest creative flop. Now, how do I know that Polo has flopped? Well, you've got the fact that Netflix have done the bare minimum to promote it, which to be fair is more than what Harry and Meghan have done because they made no appearances, no mentions of it whatsoever. Then, of course, you have got the fact that not many people have said nice things about it. The reviews are completely scathing. Not many people have been watching it. But the real reason why I know that Harry and Meghan know it's a complete and utter disaster is because they have done their typical thing that they do with absolutely everything, where they have got someone to speak out on their behalf, ensuring that everybody knows it's not their fault. A source close to the couple reportedly told one outlet, "Truth is, it was pretty much out of their control. The bosses wanted the series to appeal to the masses and push this reality TV slant, so it's not entirely their fault." Well, of course it's not, because as we know, nothing is ever Harry and Meghan's fault. And that line was being thrown around when Meghan was just a fledgling girlfriend of Prince Harry. Do you remember how Meghan was being hounded and chased by the paparazzi over in Canada? She was so concerned that she called the police multiple times because the paparazzi were breaking into her home. Well, here's Meghan walking down the road, jolly as anything, holding a bunch of flowers on a rather chilly day in Canada, with her top perfectly open, with a necklace that's not spun round, and you can see the initials M and H for Meghan and Harry. She even moved her bunch of flowers out of the way as she smiled at the waiting, scary, terrifying paparazzi that were invading her privacy. When Meghan got told off for the fact that she was playing games with the paparazzi, or rather she was advised by the palace, Meghan said it wasn't her fault. She was being stalked and harassed. The smile obviously shows you her true terror in the moment. But of course, that wasn't Meghan's fault. Nor was it when she did a Vanity Fair magazine front cover big double page spread. It was the biggest magazine that Meghan had given an interview to. And of course, it was about her relationship with Harry. Meghan, dressed in, let's be honest, a big princess style dress, spoke about her relationship to do with the prince, breaking royal protocol, especially when you think that Harry was also saying, "Leave my girlfriend alone," and Meghan was saying, "This is our time. This was our special time," but people were invading it. But of course, if it wasn't the big princess dress to get Meghan enough attention, they had called it Wild About Harry, because Meghan was so wild about her new prince, just like his mother, Princess Diana, was on the front pages of newspapers when she was holding a newborn Prince Harry many, many years ago. When the palace expressed their concerns again that Meghan was giving interviews about her fledgling relationship with the prince, Meghan got angry and blamed the magazine because they deceived her. They were meant to be talking about all of her activism and her philanthropy that she dedicated her life to. The problem was, Meghan didn't exactly have a huge repertoire for them to talk about. Meghan had done a couple of UN speeches and taken a fashion photographer and lots of designer clothes to prance around in Rwanda. That was pretty much it, unless, of course, you count her activism when she was just 11 years old and she wrote a very important letter about a soap dish commercial. Don't worry, I'm not going there. I'm pretty certain the majority of you have heard that over and over. But Meghan wasn't just blaming the magazine over prioritising her relationship with Harry, which she had nothing to do with. She also tried to get them in more trouble by saying there were racist undertones because of the headline Wild About Harry. It had nothing to do with the headlines of Princess Diana holding a baby Harry many years ago. No, it was in reference to a Judy Garland film from 1939 that had singers and performances in it with blackface. Yes, of course, I bet the editor and all of the people that worked on that magazine at the time loved having their names smeared like that. Meghan, of course, has not changed many years later. As I said in a couple of videos ago, I remember Alison P. Davies that was put on unpaid holiday because Meghan didn't like the backlash. The reason being is because Alison wrote about Meghan the way that Meghan came across. She was an actual reporter, an actual writer, rather than someone that was writing sugary, sweet nonsense about her, like People magazine, like Us Weekly, and like a few of the other selected outlets have done. So, of course, the backlash then wasn't because Meghan was threatening the Queen. It was because she was too trusting. Alison P. Davies was the bad guy here, and it, of course, was not her fault. Then we've got Harry and Meghan's 6-part docuseries on Netflix, the only success that they've had with the streaming giant. They, first of all, well, I don't know if they sacked the director or the director decided to quit, but either way, they parted ways mutually, they said, because the director was unhappy, I think, with Meghan refusing to allow anybody to film in their home. Perhaps it's because the home that they were telling everybody that they bought was in fact a film studio in itself. But hey, that's just my opinion. So they then got another director, Liz Garbus, to come aboard. Meghan, due to again the backlash that Netflix caused for so many reasons, she turned round and said it was not the way they would have told their story. they yet again were let down by someone that they trusted. Of course they were. So then we've got Spotify. When the contract cancelled and Bill Simmons called them lazy effing grifters, and the CEO of a top talent agency said, it turns out Meghan was not a great audio talent or necessarily any kind of talent. Sources were quick to defend the couple and said they were delayed by Spotify's red tape. They were given no formal lay of the land, so they were on unsteady footing before the ink was even dry. Oh, well, of course. I mean, Spotify only gave them, 2 years, really? They built a studio for them. They got Gimlet Productions, which is basically a side company that they use as well, teams of staff to help Meghan's Archwell Productions. They also carried out interviews. There are so many things. Basically, Meghan didn't really do a lot for archetypes, and it was still an epic failure. She did the bare minimum. But of course, it is not Meghan's fault. It was Spotify's fault because there was too much red tape. They didn't give them enough help. This, of course, is a pattern that Harry has followed and Meghan has followed ever since they joined the royal family. People seem to forget that Harry himself was only a full-time working royal since he left the army in 2015. So he didn't exactly last long himself before he started complaining about absolutely everything and blaming everybody else for, let's be honest, his own shortcomings. Harry and Meghan have blamed COVID and the subsequent economic woes, death of the Queen and Prince Philip's ailing health, all for their failures. They said it was just a run of bad luck. Well, what a lovely way to reference your loving grandparents that were there for you and supported you when your mother died when you were 12 years old. So what with Harry and Meghan now passing the blame clearly onto Netflix because bosses took it over and made it as bad and as tacky as it was nothing to do with Harry and Meghan. I can't wait to see the excuses or the accusations that come out when Meghan's cooking show is canned, and then of course their contract expires without a renewal with Netflix. Ted Sarandos better buy himself a decent helmet because he's going to have some bombs coming his way, or at least I think most of his staff will. It's pretty obvious that Harry and Meghan are always going to say it's not our fault and they are going to blame someone else. Which brings me to my final story. And this all comes down to Meghan. Harry does not have involvement in this particular story. Now, I think it was about 6 months ago, Meghan announced that she was teaming up with Sesta Collective, a designer handbag company that uses the services of women in Africa to create these beautiful hand-woven handbags. Meghan at the time released a statement saying, with Sesta, I really started to understand how many women's lives were being impacted and uplifted through their work. That was incredibly important to me. Well, I suggest Meghan changes her priorities and actually starts researching companies, because it turns out that they don't exactly pay them very well. The luxury handbags that Meghan has been merching and promoting has now had an investigation done by the Mail on Sunday. That's bound to upset Harry further, isn't it? But the investigation saw reporters go out and to meet these women, and they uncovered, to be honest with you, some unsettling information. Despite Sesta Collective selling the bags between £600 and even up to £1,200 per bag, the weavers earn as little as 10p an hour, 82p a day, and sometimes they even get deducted from that if the handbag quality isn't up to standard. So if it doesn't pass through quality check, they don't even pay them that 10p per hour. Despite the website hailing the women as talented female artisans and the best in class at their craft, they are paid pennies. Not only that, this is the bit that actually pissed me off, and I will swear here. These women, not all of them, but some of them live so remotely that they have to pay to get the raw materials to them. So they pay for some of these materials themselves out of their 10p per hour, according to this investigation. They are not employed by Sesta full time, so can get dropped if no orders come in. Workers were left shocked when told how much the bags get sold for and are now hoping for a pay rise. One worker said, "We are praying that they can increase our wages with time, especially if our bags fetch good profits." These women all bundle into a room. They club together, rent a room together and sit on the floor side by side, weaving these bags. If the bags are good enough, they then get shipped off to Italy to be finished. I'm pretty certain if you're selling a handbag between £600 and £1,200, I'm pretty sure that you can pay these women more than 10p per hour. Now, of course, Sesta has defended themselves and they have said that they have acted in good faith and understanding through our partnership with All Across Africa, which operates on the ground of Rwanda. Sesta said recent allegations are an attempt to discredit the work with speculative information that has been unethically manipulated. Basically, people are lying, people are trying to tear us down, people are making up false allegations, but it's really hard to say that when these investigators have actually gone to Rwanda and spoken to the weavers themselves. So it does make you question, really, when you see these people saying, oh, it's all ethical. Really? Is it? Is it really? And as for Meghan, of course, she's remained tight-lipped and radio silent. But what would we expect? Archwell is not going to come out with a statement over this, considering that Harry has still not put a statement out over the awful atrocities that the Rangers are committing against the Baka people in the Congo and a couple of other places that they are reportedly working on conservation. Again, those two labelled themselves as humanitarians and they have said absolutely nothing, and Harry is still on the board of directors. But as infuriating as those last two stories were, I'm not going to end the video on a low note. Let's end it on a high note or a funny note. On Wednesday evening, a new documentary aired on the BBC called the Earthshot Prize 2024. It was hosted by the wonderful and talented actress and singer Hannah Waddingham, a star of not just TV and film but also the West End, but more importantly, a huge fan of the Earthshot Prize, and it would also seem Prince William. Well, who can blame her? She was chosen to host the Earthshot Prize back in 2023 and was such a hit that Prince William and producers thought that she was the perfect fit for this show. This report is going to be showing all the wonderful things that the Earthshot finalists and the winners and all of the teams that work on the various solutions and projects throughout the world, how they are doing, which is lovely. It's a nice, optimistic programme. I'm very much looking forward to watching it. Unlike Harry that spouts from an ivory tower and preaches at people that the planet's on fire as he jumps from one private jet to SUV back to private jet at a time, this is genuinely about cleaning up the rivers, cleaning up the oceans, repairing the planet as best we can for the damage that, we as humans, we've caused quite a lot of mess. Prince William and Hannah get along they get along brilliantly, needless to say. And they met up and they went to Alexandra Palace, which is where the first Earthshot Prize was held back in 2021. And they decided to have a pint and to play a game of darts with highly entertaining results.
Voting fam. Can we please? Can we just focus on that? Can we get a close up on this? No,
hide it.
No, look. Oh.
It looks like they are both equally as bad as each other at darts, and they've both got filthy laughs. But how wonderful is it to see Prince William this happy, this relaxed, to hear that deep belly laugh coming from him. I watched it quite a few times because it was so wonderful to see. The year that he must have had himself being terrified for his wife's health, his father being sick, worrying about his children, still performing duties, and also taking on the role of the Prince of Wales as well. So to see this clip, it was just really heartwarming. In fact, it was so heartwarming, I'm going to play it again.
Voting fam. Can we please? Can we just focus on that? Can we get a close up on this? No,
hide it.
No, look. Oh.
So So guys, I will be back with you very soon, where we will then be talking about another victory for Prince William, and we will also be talking about that more staff from Harry and Meghan's organisations are again jumping ship. It certainly is not going to be a good start to 2025 for those two, and you know what? I'm here for it. So guys, take care for now. See you soon. Bye.